Hey guys, this is Mushroom. I have a lot of different names, and I just really like lore. So, just when I thought we were getting a little bit of a break again as we kind of wrapped up everything from before, we've already got more lore. And this one is pretty crazy. This one is going to be a development that's been happening on Numbani. So if you didn't know, if you go into game after the Conquest event ended on Tuesday, you can see in-game that Overwatch won. Overwatch won the Conquest event. And with that comes a couple things that we were expecting in-game. Overwatch said they were going to be doing something with the game. There was going to be some type of sign that whatever side won had won. So it looks like we see what that is finally. And it's a map update. But what I didn't expect was a map update to this scale. So it looks like Overwatch has moved from Gibraltar after the destruction and everything with the comic to Numbani, which is honestly not what I expected. I thought they were going to be heading to the Antarctic Peninsula map and building a base there because that map's getting an update next season. But it seems like they went to Numbani, which I think works a lot better. As you can tell, I'm kind of surprised by this. I did not expect this today, but I think this is a really cool narrative moment, and I think it's kind of a sign of a lot of things changing, not just with Overwatch, but with the story itself. So I'm going to be breaking that down, and in the background, I'm going to be showing and going over some of the cool map updates that came out, because a lot of this is really neat. So, to begin with, the map itself has more of a celebration theming to it. There's like confetti and there's fireworks going off and everything says welcome Overwatch. This is a double meaning, obviously, to Overwatch winning the Conquest event, but also Overwatch arriving in Numbani. Overwatch itself doesn't really have a base anymore thanks to the Gibraltar's ruin, and we weren't really sure where they were going to go, so Numbani is probably the best thematic place they could be at. Adawe was a founding member of Overwatch and founded Numbani itself, so it's a really cool callback and also just really good to get a little bit of Adawe here again, because we really don't get enough of Adawe. If you don't know, Adawe's plaque is in the airport. You can see it when you spawn in, and the airport itself is actually named after Adawe. But yeah, so as we go out into the street, we get another new thing. All the banners on the map have changed. So they used to say things about Unity Day, which was a thing in the lore, and it was a pretty kind of deep cut. It was a day for celebrating Omnics and humans being together, basically, in Numbani, but it's been changed to celebrating Overwatch. It looks like they really did get a hero's welcome arriving in Numbani. Another big thing with the map is the big focus on Ify and Orisa as kind of like the heroes or the symbols of Numbani. I think these two are probably the best symbols Numbani could have. A human and a robot working together, side by side, is kind of everything Numbani stands for, and the city already sees them as heroes, so what better way than to make Numbani a true hero's home with the arrival of the rest of their team with Overwatch. Another thing as well with Numbani that has been in the game for a while, but I don't see many people talk about, is the Junies. All over the map, there's little bug robots that Ify helped make, and those are Junies. We learned about them way back in the day in her original story with Orisa, and in that we didn't really get a good image of them, but they've been in game for a little bit now. And with that comes a little bit of lore we got on them in the short story Unity. So the Junies are basically now the defense force for Numbani itself. They got changed in the story from being basic little drones to being full-on defenders of the city. This is also a really good reason they should have come to Numbani as their new base, because this is probably the most well-defended place in the world. The drones and Orisa were able to stop Null Sector from invading and saved as many Omnics as they could, so I think this is probably the best place they could be. Is probably the safest place maybe in the world that isn't really connected to any exterior faction. So makes a lot of sense they'd come here. And of course, Ify lives here, so she, of course, would recommend going to Numbani after everything that happened with Gibraltar, and they would get a hero's welcome, so it is a really nice moment. But now, as we continue on our little tour through the city, we get to see some little updates on a couple little things. So down the road, you can kind of see a couple pictures on the wall that are kind of plastered talking about the Overwatch base's destruction at Gibraltar, which is a big thing, but also how Talon is seemingly taking over basically all of Rialto, and the people are kind of scared there. So this is something we already knew about as well, but it is really cool to finally get it in-game, and to just see it fully in the moment and in a map. Now, down the road a little bit more from where those posters are, a bunch of the news bulletins got updated a couple days ago. I didn't want to make a full video on them alone, so this is the perfect time to bring them up. Apparently, Doomfist missing. It's confirmed here that he's not dead, but nobody's found a body and they don't know what happened to him. But also that Overwatch's base is under attack and they weren't sure by who, but assumed it was Talon. But with Overwatch arriving, I'm pretty sure they're going to let the world know that Talon did attack them, because this is probably the safest place to tell the world about it. But that's kind of the big stuff for the map, but what does this mean for the overarching story, narrative, lore, kind of where we're going next? So we know that next season is going to be based on the Helix heist that Talon is going to be doing. If you didn't know, there's going to be something happening next season with that, just based on a couple little clues we have here and there, such as the Season 2 roadmap showing the Deadlock Gorge or some type of Deadlock Rebels area. In Vendetta's comic Vengeance Comes, she's working with Ashe and the Deadlock Rebels to infiltrate a Helix base, and of course, on Powder Keg Mine, we do have the schematics for a old Watchpoint base, an old Overwatch base, that's going to be raided by the Rebels, so it looks like it's finally going to be time. With that in mind, it seems like next season is going to be split in two directions. One, with Overwatch kind of regrouping here, maybe grabbing some more members, maybe getting some moments to breathe. And two, with Talon infiltrating and getting whatever they want from this ex-Overwatch base, which is now run by Helix, which I really don't know. There's been a couple ideas going around, but I think the biggest one that people see is on the map, Powder Keg Mine. You can see something about serum storage, so a little theory that people had is maybe this is something involving the Soldier Enhancement Program. Maybe this serum is something that gives Vendetta soldiers even more power, but we'll have to wait and see for that. So, Numbani is probably the best place that Overwatch could have moved to, and it is a really cool lore reason and a really cool way to get something out of the event that just came out. Numbani is something I wish we got a little bit more of, just in general, so it is really nice to see the map itself kind of be more important to the overall plot. This does just mark a new era for Overwatch completely. Gibraltar's gone, they live in Numbani now, the home of humans and Omnics kind of coexisting, which is a great symbol and a great place for Overwatch to be, personally. I think that's probably the best place they could be, just thematically, a lot better than Gibraltar. Now they actually have to get some more Omnic agents, because they don't even technically have an Omnic aside from Bastion. So, yeah, it's just a really great place to be for them. Of course, a lot of the world is seemingly shifting as well because of everything going on here. Something I'm really curious to see going into the future is how Vendetta reacts to this. Overwatch being at Gibraltar made them a pretty prime target, and it was a good idea to take them out quick, but now that they're at Numbani, things are a little bit more complicated. Aside from the Junies, it's just a more known location in the world, and a place that's pretty well defended comparatively to the rest of the world, so it's going to be a lot harder for Vendetta to get in there. But also, Talon has no presence here, really. Doomfist was the only kind of character that was connected to Talon that had any real connection to this place, and he's currently missing, so I'm not really sure how Vendetta is going to be getting into Numbani at all. This does bring up some really interesting things, specifically about future heroes as well, which I'm probably going to have a little bit more time to kind of dissect and discuss, but off the top of my head, this does bring up the idea that maybe one of these upcoming Omnic heroes is related to Numbani, or maybe is someone who lives in Numbani. Specifically, maybe the Omnic Detective is a resident of Numbani who joins Overwatch to keep an eye on them, but also to keep the city safe. There's a lot they can do with that idea, but also just talking about how Overwatch and Omnic relations kind of go from here is something they're going to have to address now, so it is something I wanted to bring up and kind of discuss a little bit. The other one, the Omnic Lady that we've talked about in past videos, I don't really think is going to be affected by anything here, but I could always be proven wrong, so who really knows? Also, I'm really curious if Overwatch is going to be getting their own place and we're going to see that in-game in Numbani. I really hope we get a comic follow-up or kind of a trailer or something kind of explaining what's going on with them now, because now we need it more than ever, as I'm pretty sure Numbani got updated here to show them moving in. The world really does seem like it's moving ahead with everything going on here. Talon's plan obviously failed, and the ramifications of that we're probably going to be seeing in the future, but Vendetta's probably going to be kind of shrugging that off to the side as she focuses more on her next step, which is coming next season, with everything going on with the Helix base and the heist. Overall, I wanted to make this as kind of like a little update to what's going on with Overwatch. As I said in my last video, I thought they were going to the Antarctic Peninsula, but seemingly they're going to be going to Numbani, which I think works a lot better. What do you guys think about this story ramification, and just general, how are you feeling about this development? I think it's pretty interesting, and not something I expected, obviously, so yeah, I'm always really interested to see how you guys feel about this stuff as well. Anyways, that's all for me. Bit of a quicker one on this one. I just kind of want to get my thoughts out there and kind of explain how I feel about the narrative and how I think things are going to be going in the future. Anyways, don't forget to check out Numbani in-game, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!